Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we are tackling an explosive debate that is literally tearing through the gaming community right now. It's this massive conversation sitting right at the intersection of consumer rights, rising development costs, and, well, the true value of our entertainment. The spark for all this, a persistent viral rumor that highly anticipated generation-defining games, most notably Grand Theft Auto 6, might actually launch with a completely unprecedented $100 price tag. Now, as you can imagine, people are fired up, and we're going to break down exactly why this is happening and what it really means for our wallets. And, you've probably seen quotes like this floating around. There is no way I'm paying $100 for a game. It perfectly captures that visceral, emotional outcry we're seeing all over the internet. And honestly, it's a completely valid reaction. We absolutely have to acknowledge these concerns because affordable gaming accessibility is incredibly important. We all have budget limits, right? And seeing a 3-digit sticker price on a standard edition video game is guaranteed to give anyone immediate, totally understandable sticker shock. All right, Section 1, the $100 price rumor. Let's just dive right into the logic here. Because while that initial outrage makes total sense, as an industry analyst looking at consumer spending patterns, I kind of find this reaction a little strange. We really have to challenge that initial sticker shock by asking ourselves a fundamental question. How do we actually spend our money? Let's take a step back and objectively re-examine modern consumer spending because, our reaction to a single premium price tag doesn't always match up with how our bank accounts actually look at the end of the year. Which brings us to Section 2, the annual spending reality, or what I like to call the gaming blind spot. Let's look at the data. So when you actually break down the yearly game spend, it really reveals the true costs for an average player on massive franchises like Call of Duty or EA Sports FC. Millions of players happily buy the base game every single year. That's a $70 slice right out of the gate. But we all know that's just the beginning. Weeks later, they're buying operator skins, weapon blueprints, battle passes, or ultimate team packs. Players easily drop over $100, sometimes $200, or even $300 on top of that initial $70 base game. And that's all on a single title within a single year. And then, bam, the trap springs, the reset. 12 months later, a brand new annual title drops. A new Call of Duty hits, a new EA Sports FC is on the shelves, and what happens? Consumers willingly start their spending entirely from scratch. The old cosmetics are left behind, the old Ultimate Team squads are basically obsolete, and we happily hand over another $70 base fee just to start buying the new battle passes all over again. And honestly, this perfectly illustrates the core hypocrisy in this whole pricing debate. On one hand, you have this massive outrage over a rumored one-time $100 premium purchase. But on the other hand, we have this completely normalized annual trap, a $70 base game plus over $100 in microtransactions, repeated every single year. We really have to ask ourselves, why does a single premium game suddenly feel unacceptable to the exact same people who are dropping hundreds of dollars a year on annual releases and optional microtransactions? Moving on to Section 3, contrasting life cycles. Let's look at how development timelines actually justify these differing price models. Because we really have to remember here, massive franchises like Grand Theft Auto, they're not annual releases. Rockstar does not churn out a new GTA every 12 months and ask players to buy the latest version. These are completely different beasts compared to yearly sports or shooter games. When you trace this development life cycle, it really builds a picture of true scale. Just look at this massive gap. Year 1 is the previous game launch. Then we move all the way to Year 5, and we're still getting ongoing updates and incredible multiplayer support. And it isn't until Year 10 or beyond that we finally see the next major release. I mean, fans have waited over a decade for GTA 6. This massively long development lifecycle requires absolutely astronomical investment, time, and scale. All right, Section 4, long-term play value and calculating your actual return on investment. Thousands of hours of gameplay. This metric absolutely blows my mind, and it's kind of why I get so fired up about this topic. If you bought GTA 5, you know exactly how much content Rockstar packed in there. Players have enjoyed it for well over a decade. When you take a potentially higher upfront cost and spread it out across hundreds or even thousands of hours of active gameplay, your actual cost per hour of entertainment becomes incredibly, almost laughably low. Comparing these cost models side by side really cements the argument. Take annual releases. They have a 1-year lifespan with constant microtransaction costs. You're essentially just renting that experience for a year before paying again. But then, look at decade releases. You've got a 10-plus year lifespan with a single one-time premium cost. Mathematically, a higher upfront cost for a game that you play for a decade dilutes to practically nothing over years of active play. It completely dwarfs the value of an annual title you just discard after 12 months. So, it all boils down to this. I'm not saying everyone should happily pay $100. What I am saying is that people should be consistent. As an analyst, my goal today isn't to blindly defend high prices or say that Rockstar should just charge whatever they want. It's to demand some logical consistency in how we critique gaming costs. If you're totally okay dropping $170 a year on Call of Duty or EA Sports FC, maybe take a step back before calling a massive, once-in-a-decade game overpriced. Which brings us to Section 5, Budgets and Accessibility, and the practical management of your wallet. Because, look, at the end of the day, a high price tag is still a high price tag, right? But I really want to empower you with this reminder. Nobody is forcing anyone to buy on launch day. You hold the absolute ultimate consumer right in your hands, the power to simply say no if a price tag is too steep for your current financial situation. So what should we actually take away from all this? Well, here are some totally actionable steps to protect your wallet and ensure your own long-term gaming accessibility. First off, wait for a sale. Games always get cheaper eventually. Second, if you don't think it's worth the money, just don't buy it. Third, stick to a strict entertainment budget. And finally, and this is probably the most crucial point based on what we've talked about today, actively acknowledge and track your microtransaction spending. Gaming has changed, and microtransactions have completely normalized spending far, far beyond the initial sticker price. Which leaves us with this final, super important question to chew on. Where does your gaming budget actually go? I really want to challenge you to take a hard look at your own spending. Let's stop complaining about a single, transparent, upfront purchase while quietly making 10 other micro purchases that end up costing way more. Let's be honest with ourselves, think about the real value we're getting, and make smarter choices. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.